Alright guys, today I'll be reviewing Behemoth at Canada's Wonderland. This is the 2008 B&M Hyper, and I first rode this back in 2016. This was actually the first coaster I rode when I was 54 inches, so that was pretty cool. And I rode a ton back then, and I finally got back to Canada's Wonderland for the first time since COVID, just a few weeks ago. And I gotta say, I was very impressed with Behemoth, and I'll explain why. So for starters, the presentation of this ride is pretty cool. Any ride that goes over the water just looks great in my opinion, and depending on where you come into the park, you drive right alongside this thing, and it definitely makes a good first impression. The entrance sign itself is also really cool, how it sort of wraps around the final turnaround going into the station. Now, there is no theming on the ride, but I'm perfectly fine with that. I think this ride definitely stands on its own. Now, I will say the line for this thing gets absolutely huge, just like most of the lines at Canada's Wonderland. Fortunately, I had fast lane, so I got 4 rides on it in the morning and then 1 later in the day, so 5 rides total, so I got a good feel for this. The fast lane line actually merges onto the staircase, so usually it's not very big. Usually you'll only wait 10 to 20 minutes in fast lane, which is definitely nice. Once you get up to the station, you're going to be assigned a row, but if there's an empty row, you can take that. They won't care. I would recommend going for the back row on this, but I will say the middle's actually pretty good. In particular, I thought row 10 was kind of a magic seat. Weirdly enough, I think row 10's a magic seat on Ride of Steel, so maybe just a lot of hypers have row 10 as a magic seat. I don't know, especially with the 16-row trains. Could just be a thing, but the airtime's very sustained in row 10. I mean, some of the most sustained airtime you'll ever feel. It's not quite as strong as the back or front, though. Of course, once you sit down in these trains, you're going to pull down those clamshell lap bars, and they're very comfortable. You can get a decent amount of room with them. I didn't think the ops were very staple happy, so you can definitely get some room. The ops on this ride are also great. They definitely move. They try to pump out those trains. They are running 3 trains on this, and it seems like that's pretty consistent throughout the year. So I definitely applaud Canada's Wonderland for that, because, yeah, they really need 3 trains here on, everything that can run 3 trains in the park. So once you get the all clear, you'll turn right out of the station, head up that lift hill, and then head down your first drop, which is a really good first drop, I gotta say. This is probably my favorite B&M Hyper first drop. It's very sustained, and it's surprisingly powerful. It's Flowjector for sure. I did not expect that power out of this one. Of course, it's strongest in the back, but even towards the front, I got some floater. After this, you're going to hit your first valley, and none of the valleys in the first half really give positive Gs, which is fine because there's some really good positives coming later. After that first drop, you'll hit the first camelback, and this is one of the best camelbacks on any B&M Hyper. It is super sustained. You feel like you're out of your seat for about 4 seconds here, and the airtime is once again Flowjector, especially if you're in the back. After this, you're going to hit the hammerhead turnaround. I think this is probably my favorite hammerhead turnaround out of any of them. This one feels like it has a bit of whip to it. You get some mild laterals, but these elements definitely aren't meant to be the most thrilling or intense elements. After that, you're going to hit a sea of camelbacks. I'm talking 3 of these super sustained floater hills. And these are strong floater moments. They're definitely not weak. I wouldn't say they're ejector or even Flowjector, but if you're towards the back or towards the front even, they could definitely be Flowjector. If you're in row 10, these hills especially will feel extremely sustained. This is really where row 10 shines. These hills all feel pretty similar, but if anything, I would say they progressively get better, which is kind of interesting, but I'm definitely not complaining about that. After that, you're going to pop up into the mid-course. If you're in the front, you'll get a little floater here. If you're towards the back, you're not going to get anything there. And then you'll slow down a little, but not much from my experience. And then you'll head into my favorite part of the ride, which is the finale. I know a lot of people say this is where Behemoth dies, but for me, this is where Behemoth shines. You hit this very sustained downwards helix, which made me gray out every time, especially towards the back. I mean, this thing is extremely intense. You feel the face pulls too. And then the positives get even stronger as you turn up left into this next hill. This was a top 10 hardest gray out I've ever experienced. I mean, I was stunned at the power of this moment of positive Gs. I've never heard anyone say the helix after the mid-course and then the turn up into the next hill are super intense moments, so that absolutely stunned me. And then the best moment of airtime actually comes after that gray out. You get an ejector pop coming off of this turn here, and it's great. It's not too sustained. Obviously, there's more sustained moments on the ride, but it comes out of nowhere. You don't expect to get ejector on this ride, but especially if you're on the left side, which is where I'd recommend to sit just for this element, you are going to get some strong airtime here, and it's very good. Obviously, it's not ejector if you're in the front since it's just a drop, but in the back, you are going to get that ejector, which is very good. After that, you're going to hit a flowjector hill, which is very consistent throughout the train, and then you're going to pop into the brakes, giving a flowjector pop towards the front and just floater towards the back. This ride really surprised me. I was not expecting this to be my number 2 in the park going in, but it is pretty handily number 2 in the park in my opinion. It is actually a top 5 B&M I've ever ridden, which I don't know exactly how many I've ridden, but I've ridden a lot now, so that's saying a lot. I've been on all the B&M hypers in the country except for Raging Bull, and this is definitely my second favorite of the bunch. Last thing I want to talk about is the smoothness. I felt a little vibration on a couple of the early valleys, but it was barely anything. It's practically butter smooth. Definitely don't worry about this ride if you're sensitive to roughness. So for Behemoth's final score, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. I would say it's a low 9 just because it is repetitive and a lot of the airtime is floater, but this is about as good as it gets for this model of ride in this style. I mean, Goliath at Over Georgia sort of is, but that really doesn't feel like any B&M period. That thing's a whole different animal. This thing really impressed me with some shockingly powerful positive Gs, as well as a few airtime moments that were a lot stronger than I thought they'd be. This ride is definitely one of the best B&Ms in the world, and is definitely my second favorite coaster at Canada's Wonderland. So let me know what you guys thought of this review down in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.